Welcome to Dubs Talk Live, presented by FitAid. I am Zena, joined by Dalton Johnson, who is actually live from Crypto.com Arena down in LA, where the Warriors came back from All-Star break the same way that they closed it out, losing in the City of Angels, but this time to the Los Angeles Lakers, 111-124. Lots of different things picked up in that game. Bonte Hill said it's time for everyone to panic. Dalton, what are your thoughts? What did you feel as you watched that game?
Well, I feel like there has to be a sense of urgency, obviously, right? I mean, look, there's only 23 games left. This team is back below 500 again. They've never been more than 3 games over 500. This is just who they are right now. And I think the cold, hard truth is, look, they don't have Steph Curry right now. They don't have Andrew Wiggins right now. They don't have Gary Payton II right now. That's 3 out of the 5 players who are basically part of your closing lineup in the NBA Finals last season. So it's hard to win games like that. But when the margin for error is so small that you can't have the kind of mistakes that they had tonight. So a very tough loss again. But again, it's just the sense of urgency has to ramp up right now for all parties.
I love what you just mentioned about this is who they are right now. And then you mentioned 3 of those big factors. Steph Curry still out with that high ankle sprain. Andrew Wiggins handling a personal reason with his family. And by the way, from NBC Sports Bay Area, we know it's been a while that he's been handling that. So hopefully hoping for a good outcome there as he resolves that. But then also Gary Payton II not playing. Without these stars on the floor, particularly Curry and Wiggins, the Warriors' offensive identity is up for grabs right now, trying to figure out who they are, who they want to be, not only offensively, but really defensively, because that is where they've really been struggling. Number one, we'll start with who is supposed to be filling in the shoes of that big star in Steph Curry, being Jordan Poole. And right now, it does feel like it's kind of the experience of Jordan Poole, a kind of up and down experience. Thinking about the way that he started this game, no field goals in the first quarter. Struggled to get inside, get baskets, as you saw him get denied there by Anthony Davis, and then a shot a little bit off. But then he went off in the second quarter, had 13 points, and was able to have most of his scoring happen there. And then the second half, he faded away once again. Thinking about where he is supposed to fill in the shoes and come up and step up for the Warriors. Dalton, what did you see tonight?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a lot of pressure on Jordan Poole, of course. When you don't have Andrew Wiggins, you don't have Steph Curry, everything's going to be harder on someone like Jordan Poole. We saw what he can do in that about a 45-second stretch in the second quarter there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 3-point play, 3-pointer again, back-to-back like that. So it's
in his bag.
The flurries that he can have are fantastic. But, it's just tough. What I really did like is the fact that he was 7 for 7 on free throws in the first half,
Yes.
was finding ways to get to the line. And that's what I think the rest of the Warriors need to follow his lead in, that is to attack the basket, find ways to get to the line. Because, look, they do just kind of sit back at the three-point line far too often in my eyes. We know that they have had so much success in the past shooting the three-point ball. But when you don't have the greatest shooter of all time, when you don't have another three-point threat in Andrew Wiggins,
right,
you need to make the game easier for you. Attack the basket and kick out if it's there. But again, what I really liked from Jordan was getting to the line in that first half. I
agree. And that was hitting the free throw lines at the charity stripe. Unbelievably important to be able to get the fundamentals down. But again, their offense just wasn't gelling during that first half and that second half. And Klay Thompson had to be the main person trying to get points up, trying to get things going. And he can't do it all by himself. I think that was something that I noticed as well, was that Klay was trying to get a shot going. He was trying to get, takes to the basket, but things just weren't going. Even though he did end up being the high scorer for the Warriors, 22 points in 26 minutes, and he's going to be playing back-to-back, which is an exciting thing for the Warriors. But again, he can't do it all himself. How are the Warriors going to be able to help him out?
Here's what I actually really like, something that Jerome said after the game. He was kind of asked about how hard is it to play without Steph Curry, without Andrew Wiggins. And Jerome said, look, we should be relying on each other even more without those two guys. Like, that is at least, 50 points off the board on a nightly basis. But instead of trying to play individual ball, any kind of hero ball, not get the ball moving, I mean, their assist totals were way below what they usually are, obviously. So again, they need to be able to rely on each other even more. The trust has to be there for each other. When you don't have Steph Curry, you don't have Andrew Wiggins, I understand that like the trust factor can be tough and you want to do things yourself. But I really like the fact that Jerome was saying that should make us rely on each other more than anything else. So that's kind of a message that you have to hope that resonates throughout the locker room going forward, starting tomorrow night against the Houston Rockets.
1,000%. That is a must-win game, and we'll definitely talk about that later in the show. But going back on Klay Thompson, 8 of 19 shooting. He's coming back off of injury. We're starting to see him kind of get his flow back. And so there is that expectation that you're one half of the Splash Brothers, right? You've got to come up and you've got to step up, knowing that out of your 3 superstars, and you can also add Wiggins into that, so 4, you are a major offensive machine. However, that requires movement. And we've seen that Klay Thompson, as he's getting back from injury, isn't as agile and isn't as active on the offensive end. Sometimes he does need a break. Sometimes he allows Ty Jerome or Jordan Poole when he's in to kind of create off, and he just kind of stands off the ball, or then he'll be able to set up off of a screen or curl off of a screen to set something up. But looking at Klay Thompson and the development that he's made, getting to the point in this season where he can play back-to-backs, he put out a lot tonight. How is he going to do that coming back again tomorrow night? And yes, again, against the Houston Rockets, not a great team just from the records and the numbers, but they are young, they're long, and they're active.
Yeah, I like the fact that you said that they're young, they're energetic, right? They're going to bring that energy to the court. They have nothing to lose. The Rockets have nothing to lose, right? Like they should take this on as a challenge. Hey, we're the young up-and-comers. We know that this is not our year. We're still a couple years away, most likely. Why not give everything that we have against the defending champions?
Right.
So that's what's tough that I think the Warriors are going to have to kind of weigh when it comes to Klay Thompson and these back-to-backs. They expect him to play in all 3 of the back-to-backs that they have going forward the rest of the regular season. But again, that's really kind of going to depend on the first night and kind of what he has to exude that first night.
Right.
Obviously, he had to do a lot tonight. He didn't have to do too much in the fourth quarter because the game kind of got out of hand.
Right.
So maybe that does help the Warriors in the long run, does help Klay Thompson tomorrow night. Of course, he wishes that he was out there even longer to help them win a game. But it's tough. I really want to see how his body continues to react to the second night of a back-to-back. Simple as that. So it's not going to be easy, but because, again, this is a young, athletic, energetic team that's going to be coming to Chase Center. And the Warriors, they simply cannot let another team that shouldn't be at their level rise above and beat them, because that has happened multiple times this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. And thinking about the young energy out of the Houston Rockets, Warriors came into this game number 1 in pace. Lakers were number 2, but you would have thought it was the flip, and there was a bigger gap in the way that the Lakers were running the ball tonight. Transition defense. Steve Kerr mentioned it in his postgame. Klay Thompson mentioned perimeter defense in his postgame presser. Perimeter defense, transition defense in general is a problem, but particularly I thought the pace was slow tonight. The way the ball was moving down the court was just not it. And then the Lakers were finding more and more opportunities to just completely outpace, run past the Warriors as they're playing transition offense. I mean, how many times did Austin Reeves get wide open dunks or wide open layups going down the court? So that's another question and something of a concern a little bit. Going against a young, energetic team like the Houston Rockets, you do have to worry about pace. How are you going to make sure that you are outpacing and beating a young, energetic team up and down the court?
Well, look, I mean, same old, same old. I asked Steve Kerr yesterday, what are kind of like the 3 factors that you look for on defense? He talked about transition defense, he talked about pick and roll defense, and he talked about free throws. Once again, the Lakers took 34 free throws. They were 24 for 34. They had, I think, 29 fast break points to the Warriors 8. They were out and running, and it was clear right from the get-go that they were running up and down the court past the Warriors. And that's been an issue that has been all season. This isn't game 20, 30, 40 anymore. This is nearly game 60.
Yeah.
So it's these same old issues that simply can't happen. It creates easy buckets. There's easy cutting lanes. There's easy corner three-pointers. You still see times when guys are kind of pointing at each other going, I thought you had him. I thought you had him. And how are we still there? I think that's a question where they know the problems, but it's just not being executed on the floor right now. And that's just the most frustrating part for a coach like Steve Kerr and for a veteran core that is still on this team, so they can continue to say, hey, look, we know what the issues are, but we just have to go out and keep kind of talking about it, keep teaching it, keep watching the film, and hope that it's going to click. But how late is too late?
And that's the thing. Right, exactly. I mean, they're going into the second half of the season. They've done a lot of different rotations, but the main core has stayed the main core, right? Tonight was all about the new look Lakers. The Warriors are on a new look. They've got their main team with the addition of Gary Payton II, who isn't really new to the Warriors. He knows their defense, and obviously he's not out right now, so you can't really blame him or put him into this conversation. But I think that was another thing, is it's not only you're getting beat up and down the court, you're getting beat up the court, and as you're transitioning, that communication of you've got him, I know I'm going to be in help, or just having those kind of core defensive elements were just not in place. And it seems very strange at this point in the season. And it must be very frustrating for someone like a vet like Draymond Green, who was defensively immaculate tonight. He played really, really well. But as he's trying to be that anchor defensively, he's looking around at his teammates and saying, hey, you got to help me out. I can't be the person that's going in for the rebound and also coming down the court, communicating behind the play. So that is going to be something that they're definitely going to have to look out for and continue, like you said, keep watching the film, keep talking, keep trying to figure out what are our principles on defense, especially in perimeter. But we got more to talk about, particularly you mentioned already Ty Jerome. There's another person, Anthony Lamb, 15th roster spot. Someone's battling for it. We're going to talk a little bit about their performance tonight when we come back on Dubs Talk Live.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by FitAid, the #1 post-workout recovery drink in America. Try now and visit drinkfitaid.com.
Hello, friends. Hello. First and foremost, I saw some other people mentioning really hope Andrew Wiggins and his family are able to figure out things. I know sometimes I think the biggest thing when athletes go away for personal reasons, people are always like, I hope they come back. I hope they come back. I hope they come back. First and foremost, we hope they figure out whatever it is that's going on with their family and then be able to come back. That's always super, super important. But of course, Wiggins being out, Steph being out, Gary Payton, who is supposed to be kind of a surge of energy, Gary Payton II, being out, it's tough. You're still at a point in the season where you're trying to gel your core and you can't because players aren't available. I'm not sure how they're really going to fight through this, knowing that even though Steph is making good progress, as was said in the press release today, when is he going to come back by the time that, they're really trying to make a playoff push?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's going to miss, as we know, at least the first 4 games coming out of the break, but at least 3 more, including tonight. After tonight is what I mean by that, and you would expect it to be at least 1 more of those. I'm kind of circling maybe that Pelicans game or maybe the start of the road trip right after that. So it's just hard because you can't keep digging these holes.
Right.
The margin for error just isn't there. We saw it tonight where you cut the deficit to 3 points going into halftime, and then in the third quarter you cut it down to 7 points also, and it's like, okay, like
they're
here
capable.
We go. And
yeah.
Next thing you know, you blink and you're down by 15 points, and it's like that's just kind of who they are right now.
Right. Exactly. Back to it. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. Zena, Keita here with Dalton Johnson. We talking about some things with this Warriors loss to the Los Angeles Lakers, 111-124 blowout, which is not what the Warriors need right now at this point of the season. They're trying to make a playoff push. They're trying to figure it out as they head into the second half of the season. But speaking about playoffs, you can't go into the playoffs with two-way players on your roster. And there are two players right now that have, I think, combined played 3 games in the G this year. So they're definitely looking to be that final spot within the Warriors roster, and that is Ty Jerome and Anthony Lamb. Ty Jerome made quite the claim for that spot tonight, having 20 points. Absolutely phenomenal performance from him offensively, but also in 30 minutes. That's legitimate minutes for a two-way player to come in, be trusted while Steph Curry is out. And while, yes, he hasn't been able to help too much on the defensive end, when Steph Curry's out, you definitely need all the offensive power you can get. So great for him. When you think about his counterpart, Anthony Lamb played 25 minutes with 0 points. And we know Anthony Lamb can have these games where he can be explosive and have great offensive production. And in the G, he was in the G just before the break as well, and he was playing really well and showing all the varieties of his game. But tonight was obviously not a night where he was able to showcase what he's capable of. When you think about what the Warriors need to fill that 15th spot, obviously considering Steph Curry's out right now, Ty Jerome fills a spot, but then Anthony Lamb fills a spot with some size, which is very important to the Warriors, what this game definitely exposed. When you think about that, it's not even, well, it's kind of a competition. Like, even if they don't want it to be, it is kind of a competition because it is one spot and 2 players. What are your thoughts that go into this, and what do you think the Warriors are considering?
Yeah, I mean, look, Ty Jerome is obviously very much needed right now without Steph Curry. His role obviously increases when Steph Curry is out. You know, Anthony Lamb, as you said, with his size, kind of that kind of wing that's missing on the roster right now. Of course, as long as Andrew Wiggins is out, you need that kind of body. But if Anthony Lamb isn't going to make the open shots that he had tonight, he doesn't bring the kind of value to the team that I personally believe that Ty Jerome does. You know, I mean, I think that Ty Jerome is someone who controls the game in a way that the Warriors don't have on their roster. You know, we know the turnover issues that they've had all season long. It's nothing new to them, but this isn't the same Warriors of the past where they can deal with these kind of turnovers, and Ty doesn't make those kind of silly mistakes, right? I mean, so look, obviously 20 points off the bench, an impressive performance, 30 minutes, as you said. So, but this is also not just a one-game sample for him. He's been doing this. You look at his stats cumulatively recently, and I mean, it's multiple games of positive plus minus, of bringing solid assists and points off the bench, but it's the assist to turnover ratio is what always stands out to me when it comes to Ty Jerome.
Right.
It's never, you know, turnovers more than assists. It's always more assists than turnovers. So again, Anthony Lamb has to be able to make those open corner 3-pointers. Mm-hmm. He had good looks tonight. They just weren't going down, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes forward with this, because roster-wise, Anthony Lamb might make more sense, but it's hard for me just to continue to watch the value that Ty Jerome brings to this team and not think that he would help down the road, either in the playoffs or moving forward as well.
Right. It's such a hard conversation because they both bring such different things to the court. As you mentioned, Ty Jerome bringing that pace, that veteran almost type of approach to the game and just calming everyone down. But Anthony Lamb brings size. And he also, his level of confidence, I've said this before when covering the G, I appreciate a person that's willing to take the shot, a person that's willing to go inside and do the dirty work, make a move. And that's something that you can count on Anthony Lamb for as well. Speaking of veterans, person that's on the roster right now, you actually saw him at practice, uploaded a video of him running around, Andre Iguodala. Lots of people have been saying, hey, he's making all these podcasts, but what's he doing on the court? Tell me a little bit about practice today and what you saw out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was sprinting up and down, and I think it at least felt like he was really trying to ramp up these workouts. When I see his pregame workouts, when I see his practice workouts, they seem to really be increasing, like I've been saying. You know, I saw him kind of doing some side work with coaches, hard spin moves, things like this. So I know that personally he wants to going into the playoffs, which again, the Warriors need to get there first. But going into the playoffs, he wants to have a consistent stretch of 10 to 15 games, right? Where he feels like his legs are under him, where he feels like he's contributing. But it has to the mental and physical side have to be in balance for him right now. You know, it's obviously been a frustrating season for him, for the Warriors when it comes to his roster spot. But I can tell you this, that the Warriors would not trade his roster spot like by any means. They still believe that the impact that he brings on and off the court is something that no other player brings. You know, he's part of 4 championships for a reason, right? So
1,000%,
it's about finding, again, the balance, mental and physical, to be able to have that stretch of 10 to 15 games going into the playoffs or the play-in, whatever it might be. So I do think it's going to happen sooner than later. I would expect it hopefully early March at the latest. So again, stay patient, but I would say that I think Andre Iguodala is coming back again sooner than later.
I mean, he looked great out there. And yes, very important to have him in the locker room, that his presence and his ability to coach up. I absolutely love every time I see him get into Jonathan Kuminga when he makes a mistake or something and coaches him up and gets him better. And that's exactly what these young players need. Well, going into the Western Conference games, Rockets, Timberwolves, Blazers coming up. We're going to talk about what the Warriors need to do against them as they try to make some noise in the Western Conference. Don't miss out. Come back on Dubs Talk Live, presented by Fit Aid Energy.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Fit Aid, the #1 post-workout recovery drink in America. Try now and visit drinkfitaid.com.
Hello, everyone. I mean, great point. Iggy doesn't matter if they can't find some wins. The Warriors organization told the world, Iggy's here to be played in the playoffs and to help the young guys, to be a presence in the locker room. He's doing a great job with the presence in the locker room, but if you can't make the playoffs, then he's not going to be a very pointed person for the end of the season. So, I mean, at this point, it's kind of like, do you bring him back early to try and make the playoffs?
No, I get it. I've seen all the fan frustration. I get it in my mentions. I see you people. I understand it, right?
Right.
Look, it's not like it's a secret by any means. Like, the Warriors know it. Iguodala knows it. He sees it. But he's not going to push. Like, he's not going to come back early. He needs to be right for him to come back, right? I mean, in the 3 games that he did play, he looked good. I mean, look at the numbers. Look at the plus minus, all of that. He looks solid. But then, of course, he has the dunk, and there's been a hip issue ever since. So it has to be frustrating. And again, so that's why I'm like, hey, look, guys, I understand it, but I'm just telling you that the Warriors wouldn't take that away for anything.
For sure.
So I don't. He's going to come back. He is going to play again this season, but he has to be as close to full strength as possible. And he understands that, and the Warriors understand.
I mean, he is a veteran. He is someone that understands the business, the mechanics of it. I mean, even him explaining the James Wiseman trade on his podcast, explaining like this did come down to the numbers. Like, he understands where he fits, how he needs to be ready for when the time comes. So I trust him. I definitely trust him. All right, we're going. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. Here are the Western Conference standings, where Golden State has dropped to number 10, still in the play-in conversation, but number 10 and 2 games out from the playoffs. Looking at the teams that they're about to play, Minnesota at number 7, Portland, a must-win at number 12. I mean, it's still so tight. It's still so close. I mean, every single time we talk about this, every time we talk about this on Dubs Talk Live, or we're talking about it on Twitter, it's just like any game. The Kings won tonight against Portland, but Portland didn't even have Damian. They didn't have Jeremy Grant. It's just every single game can come up with a different outcome, and the Warriors could jump 2 spots, could drop 2 spots. Where are you seeing the Warriors after these next 3 games?
There's so much parity in the league right now. And I think it's great for basketball. It's great for the NBA. It's great for multiple fan bases. Maybe not so great for the Warriors fan base right now. Simple as that, right? But again, as you said, they're 2 games away from being back to that number 6 seed. 3 games from being a top 4 seed with home court, but
Wow.
also 1 game away from being out of the play-in. And that's just kind of how the entire season has gone.
It's
so
crazy.
really, it's stay afloat until Steph Curry's back. The system is still number 30, and that's why it's like you have to win these games against teams like the Rockets, right? Teams that you should quote unquote beat on paper. They need to take advantage of these. I understand that they've been very bad on the road this season and very good at home. To me, I have said that they need to take advantage of Chase Center the rest of the way. It was 12 games at home, 12 games on the road in the final 24. If they can go 10-2, 9-3, something like that at Chase Center, give yourself more of the room for error on the road, and it's really going to help them going forward. So, again, it's been congested the whole time. Tread water until Steph Curry is going to be back, and then you just never know.
Right. Well, let's look at the games that are coming up. We've talked about it. You just mentioned Houston Rockets coming up tomorrow. And then Minnesota, Portland, all of these 3 games, winnable. All of these 3 games against teams that are teetering at the 500 mark as well. Other than Houston, like 13-45. I mean, they're definitely in that tanking conversation, looking at a Victor Wembanyama. But again, all of these games also winnable on paper, but debatable in real life. And this is what Bonte Hill talked about. This might be time for people to panic. I don't believe in panicking. I believe in just waiting it out. I believe in just believing in the process and the system. But the number one thing I know that I need to believe in is that Warriors defense, whether it's at home or on the road.
Yeah, look, I believe that they have 20 of their final 23 games are against Western Conference teams. The West has been wild, and that's not even the right word for it. It's beyond wild. It's been
the
crazy.
Wild West, for sure.
It has been crazy this season. The Warriors have felt the craziness of it.
For sure.
And now, like you said, they need to kick that door open and play better defense because they know they can score points in bunches, but the balance has to come better. It can't teeter so far one way compared to the other way. They need to be able to find better balance and kind of ride this wave until they have, they had 2 All-Stars that aren't playing right now.
I know.
That is just the cold, hard facts. And one of them is going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. So you have to be able to do what you can right now with them out and have everyone else step up. The role player, I know that the pressure is on them, but play as free as you can and really take advantage of these home games as well.
For sure. And lead by example with Kevon Looney. Take after him. He goes in, he does his job. He's efficient, okay? 15 rebounds in 20 minutes. I didn't give him his props, but I wanted to make sure I do that before we close out. I also didn't mention upcoming Pelicans and Lakers again. So the West is about to get crazy with the games coming up in the Western Conference, but the Warriors are going to have to step up. We'll still be here at Dubs Talk Live going throughout the rest of the season. Make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow night. I'll be back in the building. It's been Dubs Talk Live. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Man, I almost forgot to I'm happy I gave Kevon Looney his props. I feel like between Draymond's defense and Kevon Looney coming in and getting those offensive boards, Kevon Looney passed, I'm forgetting the name, but he's now 12th all-time Warriors offensive rebound. He's just ticking up his way. Just doing his job.
It's every single game with them.
Every game. You can count on him to do what he's supposed to do and help out this team. It's awesome.
Mr. Consistent. It doesn't matter if he's a starter. It doesn't matter if he comes off the bench. 15 rebounds tonight. 4 straight games of at least 13 rebounds. So again, when it comes to the bright spot tonight, it was Kevon Looney.
It was.
We know that Ty Jerome scored points off the bench. That Klay Thompson scored over 20 points again. That Jordan Poole had his flurry. But it's Kevon Looney because it's what he does day in and day out for the Warriors.
Yeah, I very much think that Kevon Looney is a consummate professional in that he knows his role. He knows exactly what he needs to provide. And I absolutely just adore him being, we've said this so many times, a pillar for the Warriors, especially with all of the discontinuity that they've had on this team with people coming in, people coming out, with injuries and such. It's a really big thing. And then, they talked about this on the Warriors Postgame Live. Him showing up in a smaller size than most centers in the NBA, the Warriors need size, and Kevon Looney really, outdoes what he's expected to do at 6'9", and also as someone that's had hip surgery and someone that's been playing for years. He battles with the young ones. He was up there battling with Mo Bamba, battling with Anthony Davis, and doing what he's supposed to do. So I always want to give him his love, which is absolutely amazing.
No, again, like you said, there's not enough that you can say about Kevon Looney. If you ask Steve Kerr, you're going to hear only praise. Yeah. Ron Adams has been coaching for over 50 years, and he said that there's nobody else that he respects more than Kevon Looney.
Wow.
It's the ultimate praise when it comes to Kevon Looney. So that's not going to stop, whether it's wins, losses, home, road, start, bench, anything. Kevon Looney is going to do what he does every single game, every single practice. He continues to be a foundational piece, someone that the young guys can turn to, someone that the veterans can turn to. So as far as underrated stars around the league, Kevon Looney is right near the top of the list.
I agree. Well, the Warriors got a loss in Los Angeles, but they turn around and they're right back at it tomorrow. So hopefully we can get a win against the Houston Rockets. Show up, get a needed win, get one that makes you feel good. But we'll be back on Dubs Talk Live tomorrow night, so make sure to tune in. Thank you, YouTube fam. We appreciate your commentary and your support as always. Saying hello, but also signing off. Good night, everyone.